Well, hey, Journey Church, I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And if you give me just a couple minutes, I want to share with you some updates about COVID and how that relates to Journey Church. As many of you are aware, in our region of Illinois, the COVID cases are spiking and rising. And just as of this week, our region is now under new restrictions and mitigations. And that certainly impacts Journey Church and how we are meeting together. And so I wanted to share with you some updates and some decisions that have been made. But before I do that, I want to remind you of a couple things. Number one, I want to remind you that late June of this year, Illinois freed up churches and religious organizations to make their own decisions about how to best regather and worship together in person. And so all the mitigations and restrictions that you might be hearing in the news about, for example, restaurants or the limitations of how many people can gather for a meeting or a social gathering, you need to know that those do not apply to Journey Church or any other religious organization. The Illinois Department of Health has given us guidelines and recommendations that we are reading and looking over on a regular basis to help us decide what's best for Journey Church and our people and our community. So that doesn't mean, though, that we just ignore the restrictions and mitigations. Even though those do not necessarily apply to us, that doesn't mean we just ignore them and forget about them. We want to continue to respect our government and the doctors and the science that goes into all the mitigations and restrictions. So with that being said, we also need to help you understand that every time we meet during this pandemic about COVID, every time our executive team, our leadership has been meeting and discussing what we need to do about COVID, there are two things that we talk about that are to our heart's desire. Number one, our heart's desire is to spiritually care for you and your family and your friends and our community. We want to continue to help you grow and thrive in your relationship with Jesus Christ, to bring you the hope and love and peace and joy that can only be found in God, especially during these times of uncertainty and fear. We want to care for you because we recognize at the end of the day, if your soul isn't being taken care of, nothing else really matters. And so we talk about that every single week. How can we continue to help you grow in your faith? But then also we talk about our heart's desire to keep you and your family and your friends and this community safe and healthy. And how can we continue to meet as a church by staying healthy and being a safe place for all people to come and worship together. And so as you can imagine, these are tough decisions. These are tough discussions because sometimes those two things don't jive. They don't go together. And so you need to know that we're continually talking about and discussing how can we spiritually care for you and be the church and still remain safe. And I need to announce today, and I want to tell you that the executive team, as of today, has made the decision that we believe we can do both well. We can continue to meet in person. This weekend, November 15th, we will be meeting in person both at 9 and 10:30. Now, for those of you who are not comfortable with that, we want to encourage you to continue to engage with us online through our live stream services at 9 a.m. on Facebook or YouTube. But for those who are still good with coming here and meeting here in person, we want to continue to encourage you to come at 9 or 10:30. Now, we have set up safety protocols since we've reopened 4.5 months ago, and they have gone really, really well. We have had no outbreaks. And in fact, we know of no one that has come and has contracted COVID by being with us in worship. But with that being said, we understand things have changed. And so I want to communicate one change that we are making with our safety protocols. And it's this. When you come and worship with us in person, we are expecting you to wear your mask at all times, everywhere, including the classrooms, including in the worship service. In the past, we've expected you to wear your mask, but once you're at your socially distanced seat, if you are open to it, you can take off your mask. We are changing that effective immediately starting this Sunday, November 15th, that as you come in, we are expecting you to wear your mask at all times, including during the worship service. We pray that this is received well and that you understand why we needed to make this decision. In order for us to remain open and continue to have people come in and worship in person, we needed to make this change, and we hope that you respect the leadership in that. One last thing that I want to ask you, and this is personally from me to you, is I'm asking you to pray for our leadership. Pray for the decisions that we are making. These are tough decisions, and these are not easy decisions. And so we ask that you are praying for our leadership, that God would guide us and lead us and give us wisdom in how to best navigate this pandemic and still be who God's called us to be. The other thing I would ask is that you would give us grace. We need it. There is no playbook for this. There is no playbook in how to lead a church and help a church navigate during a pandemic. And so would you give us some grace as we are trying to make the best decisions possible with the information we have at the time? And would you give us grace and allow us to trust God in what God has called Journey Church to be? I'm excited that God has given us the leadership that's in place right now to make these decisions in a godly way to help you and your family grow in your faith and also to keep us as safe as possible. So I hope you have a great weekend. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to let me know or ask the executive team. But I hope to see you on Sunday, whether in person here at 9 or 10:30 or online on YouTube or Facebook. Have a great weekend. I love you guys. See you on Sunday.